Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Oh, much better. Live in Boca. What an audience. Psh. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming out. I know a lot of you are new to the shir. A lot of familiar faces. I have to thank, first of all those who organized. The Michaels. Who else? The rabbis. Rabbi Goldberg, Rabbi Matzkowitz. Rabbi Goldberg is actually going tomorrow, I think. Rabbi Ephraim, tomorrow to Israel. Say Shalom, thank you for having me. Thank you for having MDY. Real quickly, a regal achas. If you're not doing the daf, today is a great day to start. Daf Yomi, you could start any day. We're starting brand new sugya, brand new mishnah, top of daf Memches. And in short, because there's other people that are watching besides you guys, but in short, the shir has changed thousands of people's lives. Torah is one of the reasons, but there's many other reasons. Watch the shir a couple of times and you'll see. There's so much to it, and it's life-changing. Ask people that are doing it, and they'll tell you. So it's a great opportunity to start. And if you're with us, thank you for doing it. We have with us Steve Seychelles, who's one of the ambassadors here in Florida for the WhatsApp groups. He makes sure that the guys come. He flew in specially for the shir today. Wrote me an email. I might read it if I get around to it. But basically, he met a guy on the flight, and he says, the guy's not affiliated. He says, what are you doing? He says, I'm flying. I'm going. He says, maybe you should do it. You ever heard of dafyomi? He tried to recruit this guy on the plane. The guy says, dafyomi. And then he told him he's flying here special for this. So he said, okay, I want to see what that is. So no, it's just distracting. I'm sensitive to certain things. Kitzer, don't ask any questions. We'll explain later. So, Yishkar for coming, and as we usually do, I read some emails. So I would like to do that. First, I have to say that today's breakfast, not here in Eretz Yisrael, is sponsored by Baruch Shafnitz in memory of his grandfather Moshe Leiba and Betzal and Dr. Alan Rabinowitz in honor of 6 years. 6 years with MDYs from Toronto, and the hope to make Aliyah and join in person daily. Beautiful. Now, I hope we have audio. This is at the Zone Camp. Rabbi Levitin gets the campers fired up when he addresses them in the morning. Let's see if we can hear it through those speakers. Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Okay. Another one. This is a favorite of mine. I love this picture. Here's a guy, Erev Shabbos, dafing Erev Shabbos Kodesh in upstate New York. If you look, just a beautiful picture. He has a notebook that he's taking notes on the daf right over here. See that? He has the video right over there. You could see he just came out of the mikveh or something. His pants are still wet. He has that swimming pool in the corner. I don't know. I just like the picture. It's focused on him. It's blurry in the background. Mamish professional. Good stuff. Just as an example, in Eretz Yisrael, we have something that's going extremely well. Hopefully, it'll come to America soon, around the world. And that is, while I give the shir live in Ramat Bet Shemesh, there are 14 live locations in Eretz Yisrael, including Bnei Brak, Haifa, Rechasim. We have over 500 people that watch the shir live at 9 o'clock. And I'm really hoping that it's going to become something here in America. The hours are difficult for America, but it doesn't have to be live. I'm thinking like, even if you put up a screen somewhere, and now another thing we have are these yeshivas are bringing the screens in for night seder camps. So this is the thing. So this guy, his name is Moshe Cohen, and he's a huge part of the shir. And he rented with his own money, rented a beautiful office in a nice office building in Bnei Brak on the border of Bnei Brak and Ramat Gan. And he put together this thing. You see it, and basically he says if you come to, he also started the one in Yerushalayim, Bnei Brak in Yerushalayim. He says, I have a great trip for you. Go to the Kaisel, go to Shuk Machne Yehuda, go to Pizza Uri, and stop off by the shir. And he explains what the shir is. It has different animations, etc. He says, I don't care how you do it, but make sure that you're at the shir at 9 o'clock exactly in Lutsk. If you ever went to the Waldorf, so Lutsk used to be right across the street, now it's down the block, and that's where our location in Yerushalayim is. What's this? Oh, Steve Seychelles, here he is. Shkoyach Steve, everybody, round of applause for Steve. I'm on a plane on my way to Florida to catch your last live shir. Flew all the way in to see the shir. I go to get my seat, and the guy sitting next to me says that he's from. Oh, he's from. That's not how you spell from. F-R-O-M. And says shalom. I decided to take advantage of a yid sitting next to me. That's how you do it, Rabbi Yisai. It's obviously not religious. Make sure the Dav is also facing. After about 10 minutes, he asks what I'm doing, what I'm watching. I give him the standard pitch. He's so impressed. He took something and he signed up. For information, we have at least 15 members of our group here today in Boca. Steve Seychelles, MDY Ambassador to Florida. Who's here from this group? 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not a count. Okay, Geschmack. Oh, you also. Yavaldik. Shkoyach Steve. He's a good ambassador. He gets you guys going. Make sure you do it. So if you're here and you want to join and you want to be part of his group, sign up to his group. We'll give you daily reminders and everything. Yavaldik stuff. What else? I have some very, very good emails here, but I can't read them all. Here, there's a new satellite location in northwest London, starting for Hyrieus. This is by the son of Ari Davis. His name is Yehuda Davis. I'm excited to share the new northwest London. Everyone is welcome and encouraged to join. Watch the shir nightly together as a chabura from 8 to 9 and from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. What else? Tzvi Fruchthandler. I'm a 27-year-old Kol Jungerman learning in BMG. Been meaning to write this letter to you for 2 years, but it didn't happen. I'm a casual fan. I don't learn daf with MDY, but I'm so blown away. By the way, that means he learns daf every single day. Big feels. I know these guys. When they say they peak, that means every day. When the guy says I do it every day, that means he never does it. I've been. Sometimes guys, yeah, I do your share. Really, every day. And it turns out that he saw one WhatsApp some status somewhere, and now he's a big. This guy that he says he doesn't do it, I guarantee you every day. I'm a casual fan. I don't do the daf with MDY, but I'm so blown away with so many things, I decided I can't hold back. I originally heard about you because my wife is friends with Rabbi Gordon's daughter. The legendary chesed of MDY piqued my interest. Then about 2 years ago, I saw lots of ads. They were coming into the tri-state area. I tuned in to watch the matzav, and I became hooked with your concept and the MDY family. I don't have internet access to watch you regularly, but I watch you every day. But I always try to tune in from time to time if possible. Often when I walk to yeshiva, I call them through Torah anytime. The kids are just to hear the beginning of this year. I love it. I have loads of respect for your consistency, never missing even when you're on the go. From the achdus from your shir. My favorite example is posting only Reb Struli's canvas in your sukkah. I'm also blown away by your shir aliyah every time. Okay, fine. Here are my 2 thoughts I wanted to share with you for a while. Firstly, the Gemara in Brachas brings the famous story that Reb Gamliel and Reb Yeshua, when they removed Reb Gamliel from being Nasi. Am I in my head is out of it? I have to bring it back. But anyway, maybe I should just skip this because it's long. But basically, the famous Gemara where Reb Gamliel was put to the side, and Reb Elazar ben Azariah, he started a new policy, and they had to add 400 to 700 benches in the Beis Medrash, meaning, and the Gemara seems to say that he was right, that everybody, you don't have to be top guy, anybody could learn Torah. Anyways, it's hashtag MTGA, making Torah great again, or MDYGA, making Daf Yomi great again. Okay. Okay, we're gonna skip that. Next. You know, I do get 50 emails a day, and I have to pick the best ones, and they were great as they came in. Oh my God, this is a really good one, but it's from a woman who says that she's very proud of her husband and her sons. They all do the daf, and her kids, they watch the father learning, and that's how they fall asleep. Okay, next. Chaya Branfman, Shkoyach. Oh, I like this one. I'll start with a short story. Once there was a person that went to the Satmar Rebbe and told him, Rebbe, my 2-year-old son looks like he'll be a big tzaddik. Whenever he sees a blanket or a towel, he plays with it pretending as if it's a talus. And when he plays with Lego, he puts on his head as if he's wearing tefillin. The Rebbe said, it's about time you start davening in a minyan. because what the kids see at home is what the kids do. So I have this zchus to be part of your shir Sanhedrin. This past Friday, I turned on the shir sitting in my dining room, and my 16-month-old baby was in the kitchen, where my wife was preparing for Shabbos. And as the shir starts with the famous Gemara Rabbi, I hear my son saying, "Ah!" So I had to restart and film to share. Here he goes. He's getting all excited, kid. Good morning, Rabbi. We don't usually realize what small kids can pick up. Therefore, the best way to be mechanech your children is by them seeing you doing the right thing. Absolutely. If you learn Torah at home, you have no idea what kind of impact it has on your children and your grandchildren. They see what's important. The Masechta is sponsored by David Solomon, dedicated in memory of Avi Meir Reb Shmuel Baruch Ben Reb Chaim Tzvi Dov, Zichron Livracha, anonymous. Since there's a lot of new people here, so I'll tell you the story. There's a reason why there's a cheetah there. About a month ago, MDY, we did an appreciation trip for the big donors, and we went to the Serengeti, one of the best places to do a safari. And one of the hardest things to see is a kill. We call it a chase because people sent in emails. Kill doesn't sound good. It's a kill. Anyway, so it's hard to see one. Our driver let us know that he was there for 60 days already, and every day he did at least 2 drives, whatever. He's not seen a single kill that season. So anyway, one of the guys, as we were leaving on our last day, we had 2 hours left, and we haven't seen forget a kill. We haven't seen a single animal. We're going for 2 hours. We didn't see an elephant, nothing, not even a giraffe. And Motlandi says, "Listen, if we see a kill, I'm giving $1,000 to MDY." So this guy says, "Yeah, if we see a kill, I'll give $9,000." And everybody in the Jeep, there was 7 Jeeps. That particular Jeep, I think it was $12,000. Make a long story short, all of a sudden we bump into 2 cheetahs sitting. And we had all 7 Jeeps there because we were on the way to the airport. So we made like a wall. And on the other side of the Jeeps, there were some gazelles, whatever. And all of a sudden the cheetah picks himself up. I guess it was his child or whatever. And he starts peeking behind the Jeeps. And all of a sudden he starts running. Now, the guy could run like almost 70 miles an hour. And the thing is, he didn't just take off and go. He started making circles around our Jeeps because the gazelle started going in circles. And right in front of everybody, bam, he killed this little gazelle. But there was like tall grass, so it wasn't so gory, but we saw the kill. We couldn't believe it. It was mamish a nace. We saw that. We all calmed down. We couldn't believe it. And it was the first time in the entire trip that all 7 Jeeps were together. I said this story 100 times, but a lot of you guys never saw it and you never heard. So it was mamish a nace nigla, and we went home. That was it. It couldn't have been, and like to see a cheetah, not a lion. It was like a whole different level. Anyway, next. I don't have a story for every sponsor. This is like, and honestly, may our learning be a shield of protection, a source of unity and blessing for Am Yisrael. Joel Gedalius, Lila Nishmas, my father, Jack Gedalius. Monthly sponsors, TCS Israel, powered by Talk and Save Anonymous, Rufo Shlema, Chulda Leah Bas Bracha, Binyamin Zicherman. Weekly sponsor, Rufo Shlema, Lavroman, and Lishav Pnina, Coffee, Anonymous, in memory of Leah Bat Jamila. Daily sponsors, Dr. Avram Epstein, on the occasion of the yahrzeit of his late wife, Rita Epstein, Aleh Shalom, my neighbor, in my building, 2 floors below me. MDY apologies for the late insertion and missing the Bye Bye Yom. May Neshama have continued aliyahs. Daily sponsors, Joseph Brown, Lila Nishmas, Mami, Leah Bas, Reb Moshe Mordechai, Aleh Shalom, was a light unto this world. Josh Hirschberg, Lila Nishmas, his brother Mordechai Tzvi Ben Dov, Mark Hirschberg, on his first yahrzeit, the Neshama should have an aliyah. Simi Mandelbaum, big part of the shir from Chicago, Lila Nishmas, Harav Uri Yishtrag ben Achaber Chaim Zechatzak Livrocha. His heart and home were open for every year. He wrote me a whole email how epitomized MDY. I don't know if you know, a lot of you knew. In MDY, every night, every morning also, but especially at night, you'll see something that you hardly see anywhere in Klal Yisrael. And that is, I'm gonna ask you soon to go to the back. Every night, you see a Yushalmi Yid with a yarmulke, with a kaftan, with white things, and the whole thing, and next to him, Yushalmi, other Hasidim with payas, and right in between them, a chayal with a gun. And then you have all over Kippas Rugaz, and it's incredible. The achdus that we have is like nowhere else in the world. And that's what he's saying about his father. Jonathan and Brina Schiff, for our sister Tover Miriam Bas Tzivya. Daily sponsors, Daniel Benedict. In honor of our grandchildren who are here, Ariel and Ezra Gans on their third Masechta. Where are they? Hey, your brother's here also. Hey, Doc. Shalom Aleichem. 3 Masechtas. Do you know he's doing that for you guys? Oh, because I did it yesterday. So if you, yeah. It was probably a mistake. MDYR, monthly, for Shlema. For Yonatan Eidan, we're going to learn Torah soon. Don't worry about it. Yonatan Eidan ben Bashev Bracha. For Shlema Mordechai ben Esser. For Hayela Daniel Zev ben Ayelet Esther. Boy, say, here we go. We're holding Daf Ches Amud Aleph. It's a brand new Mishnah, but if you were with us yesterday, it's a continuation of the 2 Mishnayos that we had, which those 2 Mishnayos were pretty much identical. There's 3 types of houses of Avodah Zarah, there's 3 types of stones of Avodah Zarah, and now we're talking about there's 3 types of trees that are Avodah Zarah. And for Shlema, Gabriel Shol ben Ita Allah. Oh, she responds that this is related to our very, very chashva artist, Yoshi. Great. So the Gemara says, the Mishnah says like this. I just have a question for everybody. You could answer if you wish. How was the oil in the Beis Hamikdash? How did it become tamei? How did the oil in the Beis Hamikdash become tamei? Huh? Who? Can't hear. Who? Raise it, but who made it tamei? A guy, a yid. Who made it tamei? Guy, l'chayr a guy, but the guy doesn't is not a tama. That halacha came out later. So we're going to see a very interesting halacha today. Perhaps I saw a pshat. Perhaps it became tamei through the Avodah Zarah that was in the Beis Hamikdash, and it's tumas oil. So if you have a piece of Avodah Zarah in the corner over here, then the entire room becomes tamei because it hits the ceiling and travels throughout the ceiling, and comes back down. In other words, the entire room becomes tamei. Perhaps that's how it became tamei. Says the Mishnah, Shalish Asher is saying there are 3 types of Avodah Zarah trees that are worshipped. Elon shenatoy mitchila l'shem Avodah Zarah. You have a tree that was planted to start off with. All the way in the beginning, the guy had intent that this should be an Avodah Zarah tree. Harezu Asura. This is a tree that's Asur Bahana. So if it's owned by a guy, which it seems like it's owned by a guy, then the way to use this tree is if he's mevatel it. If he says he no longer wants to use it as Avodah Zarah, boom, it becomes batel. If it's a Jewish tree and it's Avodah Zarah, what's the halacha? Never. You can never be mevatel it. It remains Avodah Zarah forever. Gidoi upisloi l'shem Avodah Zarah. If a person pruned a tree, here we have a little video. Pruning, removing some of the branches, and then what happens is you have new growth. You see all that grows from the side. So you saw right there where they cut it, where his finger is, it's cut, and then it starts growing from another place. So that's tree number 2. That you had a normal tree, and then you pruned it and trimmed it with intent that whatever grows is Avodah Zarah. The hechlif, and in fact it grew. Noitel mashe hechlif. If you want to use the tree, what you do is you just destroy all the new product. Any new leaf, any new branch, you get rid of, and that's okay. Another type of tree. Third one, if you put a piece of Avodah Zarah, you took Avodah Zarah under the tree, harezu muteres. If you removed it, then it becomes muter. You put Avodah Zarah under the tree, you had intended it to remain there forever, but you decided to remove it forever, it's muter. Amri debei Rabbi Yanai. V'hu, you know when this tree becomes asur? Shehivrich v'hirkiv. Hivrich is a lashon of a knee. V'hirkiv, I'm going to show you what that is. Beguva shalilon. Here we go. What's this? Oh, this is the cheetah chase. In case this has everything to do with the sugya because I mentioned it. Here we go. This is our jeeps. This is what we took. And there's another one. You see the one all the way on the right? That's the baby. It's using our jeeps as, here's our jeeps. Only ours, only us. Here we go. Look at that. Ah, it's all within. You see, it ran next to our jeeps. And then finally, that's it. It got it. Saying on the video, you understand what's going on. We stay there for 5 minutes. We watch it drag it. Here they are. You see them? Okay. Givaldic. Next. This is the first time I'm showing it. You understand, right? This week. I like to show it at least once a week. Smash. A Nes Nigla. Sometimes you have different types. That's the Nes Nigla for me. So now, let's talk Torah here. Hivrich. You see this knee? We just drew it as because it's a knee. Basically, what you do is you see there's a tree on the left. You take a branch and you bend it into the ground, and then one part, the end of it comes out of the ground. So you have part of it in the ground, part of it comes out of the ground. But here, if I let me just grab this for a second, a pointer. See this right over here? It's all connected. It all started over here. It starts over here. You put it into the ground, and then it starts growing roots. And then suddenly, more grapes pop out over here. But it's really a continuation of the tree on the left. That's called Hivrich. Ani. What's Hirkiv? Hirkiv. Now, by the way, I can show you real quickly. Let's do this. Havracha. Check this out. Here it is.
So what we have is the saber tooth. He's coming this way, and what saber tooth does, it digs a trench down into the ground and allows us to bend these layers, which are pretty flexible.
He's putting in a branch from this guy.
It essentially is like a replant, taking the same other vine and planting it into the ground. And these buds here that are in the ground, they will eventually turn into roots and create their own root system.
Okay, so that's Hirkiv. This is Yoshi's depiction of Harkava. So that's, you take a branch from another tree, you make a slit in a larger branch, and you put it into that tree. That's Hirkiv. Yeah, if you want to see a video of it, it goes something like this. It's taking a branch from another tree and getting the nutrients off of the original tree. Three weeks later, starts growing Ishmak. So, with the intent of Avodah Zarah, only if you do these massive actions, then it becomes Avodah Zarah. As the Gemara of Anan, Gidoy Pisleitnan, but we said you don't have to do something like that. You can do something simple, just like cutting a branch. Doesn't say anything about Harkava and Hivrich. Elo Kitma de Rav Yanai. So if you watched the shir yesterday, you learned the Gemara by yourself yesterday, you saw these answers twice on both Mishnayos. We had the same question, same kind of answer. That what? Le'yim bitul itmar. We're not talking about what you must do, but how you could be mevatel even the hardest and the biggest maisa of harkava. Certainly, if you just cut a branch, that's nothing. Then you could do bittul. But even if you did something like this with the tractor and putting it into the ground, the whole thing, which is a very hard kind of action, and you could think that perhaps you created a new Avodah Zarah tree and bittul won't work. Maybe all you need to do is just take the top off. Maybe it should be like a brand new tree. The entire tree, even the original part, should become aser. Kamash Malah, no. Only the new growth is what's aser, and cut it from there, and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about the original tree. But of course, what the Mishnah said, just pruning, of course, you could just take off the new growth. We're saying even when you do something more than pruning, where you put it into the ground or you do a harkava, then all you need to do is chop off the new growth. Omar Shmuel. if you bow to a tree, toisefta asura. So now we learned that you can't really make a mountain usher. You can't make a tree usher. But you can make, if the tree is a full-grown tree and you bow to it, what you're going to make usher is the future. L'chayra. We're going to see. There's another shita, but says Shmuel, from here on out, anything that grows on the tree becomes usher because you bowed to the tree. Maser Lazar, but it says in our Mishnah, Gidoyu Pisla v'Zar v'Hechlef, if you prune the tree and something grew from it, Noito Mashe Hechlef, you remove the new growth. But it seems like Gidoyu Pisla, you had to take action, you had to cut something, then the new growth becomes aser. Gidoyu Pisla in. Gidoyu Pisla. If you just bow to it without taking physical action to the tree, it seems like it's not going to become aser. Loi. Amalach Shmuel Amani Rabbanani. So, if you were with us for the last few days, we discussed this Rabbana, we discussed the Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda, that what? I'm going to show you in a second. Ushmuel Da'amak Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda is of the opinion, to remind the Olam, this is Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. That's from the Pasuk Vashareim Tigadei, and we learn that if you have a tree that's already grown and you bow to it, look what happens. Look at the little guy on the left. Now he bows to it. So he says, I'll show you, the new stuff becomes aser. So you have this. This is blown up a little bit. Here's a tree. It's a kosher tree. Then the guy goes and bows to it. So whatever grows afterwards, that branch becomes aser, red aser. Hamani Rabbanani. Aser. Whatever grew afterwards becomes aser. But Rabbanan say no. Maskevler Ravashi. So Ravashi wants to take everything that we learned until now, basically, and flip it, sort of. Because until now we were learning that Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda is learning from the Pasuk Vashareim to Gadeon, and Chacham learned from the Pasuk Vashareim to Tisrafun. Okay, that's what we learned for the last 4 or 5 days. Ravashi is just saying perhaps we could reverse it and say that Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yehuda is the one that learns from the Pasuk Vashareim Tisrafun Ba'esh. Okay? Which Stam's story has a little bit to do with this. There was Reb Meir Auerbach, his name was. He was a menal in Eitz Chaim in Yerushalayim. And in those days, if you remember the history, the people were starving in Yerushalayim. They had something called tzena. Everybody got a little note. They could buy X amount of bread. The situation was terrible. They were able to secure for the Eitz Chaim school, for the children, a piece of bread for each kid, which is a big thing. So Reb Meir Auerbach takes a look and he sees one of the kids, I'm a shugana. He takes his bread, tosses it right into the street. Boom. So he walks over and says, listen, Kindela, what are you doing? Nothing. He says, don't do that. That's not, this is expensive stuff. Next day, he takes a look. Same thing. He says, listen, you can't do this over here. And if you do it, I'm going to have to throw you out. So, of course, the kid doesn't listen to him. Yishalmi kid mechutzef. Next day comes along, gets a piece of bread, tosses it into the street. So he kicked him out. Next day, the kid comes with his father. His father tells the manal, he says, listen, my son and I, we don't have what to eat at home. There's nothing to eat. And his younger brother is jealous that he goes to school and he gets a piece of bread. So what does he do? Every day he takes a piece of bread and tosses it into the street. His brother's hiding over there. He knows exactly that at recess, at 10 o'clock, whatever, and that's how he gets his bread. So Rameir started crying. He couldn't believe it. He said, look, I thought this kid is crazy. He's disobedient. And it turns out the opposite. He's an unbelievable person. He's giving away the little that he has to eat. He's giving away this younger brother. Why did I think about it? Because sometimes it's the opposite of what you think. We're thinking, well, it has nothing to do with the sugi, really. But it's a great story. Rav Ashi says, you know what? Maybe it's the opposite. Who told you that they're arguing on the new growth, like in this picture? this red branch, the new growth, who told you? Dilma Tosefes L'divrei HaKol Aser. Perhaps that red branch, even Rabbanan Amoida, that's Aser. Why? Because from the point of Avodah Zarah onward, everything is Aser, even that red branch, even according to Chacham. Ubi Karipli. And the whole machlok is going to be on the main tree. The Rabbi Yosi Bar Yehuda Savar Ikari Nami Aser. He's going to hold that the entire tree that you see here becomes Aser. Why? Because he worshipped it. The Chsiv Vashireim Tisrufum Be'esh. So you see what's going on here? Now it's Rabbi Yosi Bar Yehuda that uses the other pasuk Vashireim Tisrufum Be'esh, and Rashi explains Vashireim Tisrufum Be'esh. He says it can mean a double lashon. Vashireim is plural. Says Rashi, Ashreim Trei Mashma means two. Chad Lintoya Mitchila Lekach. That if he planted it specifically for that purpose, V'chad Lintoya Lebasei Vavadai. The Torah is telling you the entire tree must be destroyed because he worshipped it afterwards. And where did I learn from? Yesterday we learned that he was using the pasuk Vashrem Tigadeon. And now he's all of a sudden using the other pasuk according to Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi says, let's flip the whole thing over. What are Rabbanan going to hold? Ikar Ilan Shari. By the way, like in every Daf Yomi, this is not a hard sugya. But if you don't like the sugya, in 3 minutes we're on to the next one. So Rabbanan Sari Ikar Ilan Shari. Rabbanan going to hold that the main tree is 100% mutter. You see what's going on here? Now we're flipping the shita. They're using the other pasuk Tigadeon. What kind of tree do you cut, but you still have something left? The whole bottom is there, and you're allowed to use it? That's a tree that you worshipped it after it grew. So, what do we have before? You see this one right over here. Vashireim Tisrufum Be'esh goes according to everybody that's a tree that was planted lechatchila like that. That's what Chacham were using, that pasuk. Vashireim Tigadeon is a pasuk that Rabbi Yosi was using. Now we're flipping it a little bit. Vashireim Tisrufum Be'esh, Vashireim Tigadeon, let's go on the bottom part, goes according to Rabbi Yosi. We're learning two things according to Rabbi Yosi for Vashireim Tigadeon. So you have a little bit of a problem. Vashireim Tisrufum Be'esh. You see, Vashireim Tisrufum Be'esh, Vashireim means plural, two. He learns two halachas from it. One, a tree that was planted to begin with for Avodah Zarah. Two, a tree that he worshipped after it was planted. So he learns two halachas, but from the other pasuk, Tisrufum Be'esh, not from Tigadeon. And Chacham are learning Tigadeon. So he flipped the psukim around. The Chitema, that's not how we learned up until now. For the last 5 days, we were saying that Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Yehuda is the one that learns Tigadeon, not Tisrufun. Eipuch Rabbanon Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Yehuda Rabbanon. It's okay. I'm flipping the psukim. That's not a problem. Okay. The problem is, says the Gemara, Imkain Gidoi Upisloi Manketanila. In our Mishnah, the top of the summit, it says that if somebody prunes a tree, then the tree becomes awesome. But who's the author of that? That doesn't go according to anybody. Why? According to Rabbanon, you don't need to prune a tree. Just worshiping is enough. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it's not just the part that grew after the pruning. The entire tree becomes asur. So it doesn't go according to anyone. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yosi, you see a new Mishnah is coming up. Rabbi Yosi, a new Mishnah is coming up, and it gets really easy from there. It could go according to anybody. You pick. You want to go according to Rabbi Yosi Yehuda? It goes. Why? Listen to this. The Gemara says a beautiful svara here. The Gemara says, in truth, if you worship a tree after it's planted, the whole tree becomes asur. But if you start pruning it, then the whole tree doesn't become asur. Why? Because you're showing that you want something new. By you pruning it, what does pruning do? Pruning means I want a new product, I want new leaves, new branches. So the new stuff is going to become asur. The old stuff you're saying I don't want to become Avodah Zarah. Bistama, that's only when you didn't prune it. Avo gidoy upisla, if you pruned it, gali adaite, you showed in your intent. The besefes nichle, you want the new stuff. The big hilan loy nichle, and you're not happy. You don't want Avodah Zarah. You don't want the original tree to be Avodah Zarah. Ibai sam rabbanon, or you could say that it goes according to rabbanon. Gidoy upisla yitzrichle. You asked me according to rabbanon, without pruning it becomes aser. Why do you have to prune? No, there's a chiddush here. Since you pruned it, you touched the tree. Maybe the entire tree becomes Avodah Zarah. Kamash malon. No. Okay. Great. So we're about to start a new mission. I just want to share with you a story that I saw yesterday. I don't want to forget it. Yo Gold, the famous Yo Gold, who's a big part of MDY. He also came to speak at the Shabbatom. So he sent me a link to his video, which I didn't have time to see yesterday, but I went on anyway. And he has this whole thing where you could see these shorts. A lot of great stories. So I just want to share with you one story that I saw there. A great story. It's up my alley because it has nothing to do with Ruach HaKodesh and Moifsim. It's just a story that could happen to anybody. 4 yeshiva guys, and we can all relate to it. 4 yeshiva guys in Eretz Yisrael, Erev Shabbos, they don't have where to go for Shabbos. So they start schmoozing with the guys. One guy says, look, there's an Israeli guy. You call him up, you tell him you want to come. It doesn't matter, even a half hour before Shabbos, you go to his house. He's great. You know the story? Shaking your head. Shmak his story. So the guy's saying the story, the yeshiva bacher. So he says, really? Where does he live? This is 15 minutes away from yeshiva. So he gives him the phone number. He calls up this Israeli guy. This guy doesn't speak English. He doesn't speak Hebrew. He's like, look, we're 4 guys. We don't have where to go for Shabbos. Can you help us out? He says, 100%, sure. Come on over. So how do I get to your house? He says, take this bus, get off in this tachana. I'll be waiting for you there. They get on the bus, and this tachana is just not coming up. They go to the driver, says, yeah, soon, wait, patient. 45 minutes later, they get to this place. It's in Yehupitzville. There's nothing there. It's the middle of a highway. Get off. It's like, are we in the right place? All of a sudden, this tall man gestures, goes, oh, they go to him. He has a car. They get into the car. Shalom Aleichem. Wow, I'm so happy you called me. And he drives. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. They get to the Moshav. Get there. It's like, wow, it's beautiful. Whole table, wine, meat, shmak Shabbos, everything. Now these boys, they realize, wait, we just went all the way there, but for whatever reason, they didn't have money to get back. It's like, we forgot the money. He says, oh, no problem. 200 shekel, he gives them the money. They get on the bus, they go back to yeshiva. The bacher that set them up with this guy, he says, no, how was it? He says, oh, it was amazing. It's unbelievable. This and the dessert and wine. He said, but why do you tell us it's 15 minutes away? It's like an hour away. He says, it is 15 minutes away. What are you talking about? Turns out that these guys, they dialed a 6 instead of an 8. They called a random Israeli guy. No connection to anything. Hey, can I have a Shabbos? And the guy said, yeah, come on for Shabbos. Mika, Amcha Yisrael. The guy invited him in, 4 random guys for a Shabbos. I thought it was great. Mike Jessel, you do it in a second. So 4 guys called you. No problem. You want 200 shekel? 200 shekel. What else can I give you? Want a pair of shoes? Here's my shoes. Shmak. Anyway, says the Mishnah. Ezi Asherah. And I just figured, look, we just did this slightly complicated sugya, and half the guys had no clue what was flying. So I'll just throw in a story here. We'll smooth it out a little bit. Now it's all, this is easy, really. Ezi Asherah. Now it's interesting, the first words that we learned today was Shalosh Asherah saying, the 3 Avodah Zarah trees. All of a sudden, the Mishnah asks, Ezi Asherah. You just told me there's 3. Okay, so the Gemara is going to discuss that. Which one is an Asherah? Kol shesh tachteh Avodah Zarah. If there's underneath the tree, there's Avodah Zarah, that's an Asherah. Shimon Omer, Kol she'oivdem Maisa. No. You have to worship the actual tree. Umaisa b'tzaydon b'ilon. There was a story inside them. There was a tree. She'oivdem Maisa. They used to worship the tree. Umatzah tachtav gal, and they found a heap underneath the tree. Omer Shimon, bitkus agalazeh. You got to check out that heap. What's going on in that pile? Ubatku matzu by tzura. They found here, we have a little bit of a picture. This is the reverse. I asked Yoshi to do it opposite. I don't know what he did here, but whatever. It's good for what it is. I don't know if you guys are following the politics in Israel, but what they got Bibi right now is on a Bugs Bunny. Oh, so they buried a Bugs Bunny here, and when they under the leaves, they found the Bugs Bunny of Avodah Zarah. Omar Lahan. So he said, what are they worshiping? They're worshiping the Bugs Bunny. Not the Lemon. Then the whole tree is mutter. You don't have to worry about the tree. The tree is good. The reason you keep on seeing people coming by, they stop and they go like this. They're bowing to Bugs Bunny. Eza Asher, says Gemara. Now, what do you mean? What is an Asher? We just finished saying there's three of them. Says the Gemara. Yeah, you're right. On the top of the Amud it says there's three trees. Two of those three, everybody agrees to, but one of them is Machlokes, and this mission is describing the Machlokes. What's a Machlokes? Kol sheyesh tachta Avodah Zarah. Reb Shimon, if there's a Avodah Zarah underneath, Reb Shimon Omer kol she'oivdim ma'isa. Chacham say when there's an Avodah Zarah underneath, no, and Reb Shimon says no, you have to worship the actual tree. Eza Asher is stop. Now, if you pass by a tree and you don't know, you have a good feeling that this tree is an Avodah Zarah tree, but you're not sure. How could you tell if it's an Avodah Zarah tree? Omar Rav, kol shekumarim yoshim tachtel. You see these priests underneath it. No, shalom aleichem. What do you think it is? A bunch of priests sitting there every day. And they don't taste the fruit. They refuse to eat the fruit. That's a great sign that this is an Avodah Zarah tree. Even if they say that these dates we're going to make some beer out of it, they're going to use the fruit, asur. They are going to use the fruit. It's still asur. Why? The Rame Shichra v'Shasile b'Yom Edom, because they are going to. Here's a little bit of a depiction. They're going to drink beer on their holiday. Okay, so Meila becomes Avodah Zarah. Omar Meimar, Amruli Save de Pumbedisa. So we have a game in MDY. It's a Monopoly game. It's based on, I don't remember anymore. Do you guys remember what daf it is? In Sanhedrin, I think, somewhere. Let's see, maybe it says here. No, it says Mem Ches Be'as. So basically, the Gemara over there describes that anytime it says in Shas these kind of things, it's these are the people. So here, I'm going to go through some of them only. Oh, when it says Saved de Pedisa, anywhere in Shas, it means Rav Yehuda and Rav Eina. Okay, let's go back. Rabbi Seinu Shebabavel means Rav and Shmuel. Yeah, so some people remember this stuff, some don't, like myself. So I just go to the Monopoly game. Anytime I have a Shaila, Saved de Pedisa, Rav Yehuda and Rav Eina. Great. Let's see if Rashi says it. I don't think so. No. So, say the Saved de Pumbedisa. Ormally Saved de Pumbedisa. Hilchas Shmuel. The halacha is that even if they allow to take the fruit, but they're going to use the fruit for their Avodah Zarah to make beer, and therefore the whole tree is an Avodah Zarah tree, it's an Asher tree. Daf Yomi Amud Beis, sponsored by Adar Global. MDY is enjoying the benefit of Maestros of Adar's MDY clients. Anonymous. Itamar Ephraim Chaim Yitzchok ben Shmuel Avigdor Anonymous as a source for Hatzlacha in Ruchnius and Gashmius. How are we doing on time here? I know we started late, but how long did the shir start? When? 40 minutes? Okay. We'll hurry up over here. By the way, just so you know, here's a riddle. How is it possible that giving 4 shiurim, you're not allowed to answer, giving 4 shiurim is easier than giving 2 shiurim? You know what it is? No. On Erev Tisha B'Av, I gave 4 shiurim. 2 Hebrew, 2 English. Murder. Matzei Tisha B'Av, I gave 2 shiurim. Oh, that was That was on a different level. I didn't know where I was. My head, I didn't have coffee that day. My head was spinning. I couldn't prepare because you can't learn on Tisha B'Av. It was a disaster last night. But that is the beauty of Daf Yomi. I got to tell you, that is the beauty. That is the beauty. That's one of the nicest things about Daf Yomi, that we learn 365. You become so addicted that no matter what, you find yourself on a plane, learning the Daf, never missing a day of Torah. There's nothing like it. And when you do it, and you do it long enough, and it becomes part of you, you realize the beauty of it. And that we learn on Yom Kippur night, we learn on Tisha B'Av night, we learn on Chalamayid, we learn on our children's wedding day. Right, Michael? Did you learn on your kid's wedding? And after. And that's how it works. There's nothing like Daf Yomi. Lo yeshev b'tzila. You're not allowed to sit in the shadow of this Avodah Zarah tree. But really what it really means is you're not allowed to sit in the shadow of the shadow, and we're going to describe what that means. In other words, in the weak shadow, even in the weak shadow, you shouldn't be sitting. V'im yashav, and if you did sit in it, tahar. As we're going to see, Avodah Zarah has a tumah, like a dead person creates tumas hameis. Avodah Zarah has the same thing. It has inherent tumah, makes you tameh. You have to go to the mikveh after you touch it. If you're in a room with Avodah Zarah, you become tameh. So if you're under a tree that has Avodah Zarah, you become tameh. But if you sit there, you're not tameh. If you sit in its shade, not under the tree, tar. You're not allowed to walk underneath the tree that has Avodah Zarah underneath it. And if you do, then you become tameh. Let me show you what's going on here real quickly. Yes, same exact thing. Check this out. It works fast. I wanted to tell Yoshi to slow it down, so you got to pay attention here. Let me just show you. There's a little bit of Avodah Zarah right here. You see this? This is what we call it the Krovis Avodah Zarah. I don't know. He did something interesting here. Brought some sort of animal for Avodah Zarah. What's going to happen real quickly? I'll explain it, then you'll see it. It's like a laser beam of tumah shooting up from the tumah, from the Avodah Zarah going upwards. It gets stuck in the canopy of the tree. So then what happens? It spreads on the entire canopy of the tree and comes downwards and makes everything under the entire tree tameh. Check this out. It's beauty. Goes sideways, goes downwards. Bam. So if you walk under the tree at any point of the tree, doesn't have to be next to Avodah Zarah, you become tameh, tumas oil. That's tumas oil. When we lived in Flatbush, when I was a kid, I lived between L&M and East 13th. Anybody here from Flatbush? By the Verschleisers. So we used to daven Chaim Berlin, and there was a funeral home on Coney Island. And the funeral home had something like this, like some sort of canopy that came, jutted out, and took over the entire sidewalk. It was over the whole sidewalk. And my father, Zolzayin Gesund, wouldn't walk underneath it because he felt that this was a Jewish funeral home, and the tumah from the mace oil would come and go under this canopy, and anybody that walked would get the tumah of the mace. Why should it become coming from a mace? It's like then you have to wash your hands and everything. So you used to walk on the street, go around it. So says the Mishnah. What if it had no right, this tree, to be there? Like the picture that we had before, really, is a situation where the tree should not be there. Like it was hanging over a public sidewalk or whatever. So then the halacha is, and he walked underneath it, tar, you're tar. You're not allowed to benefit from Avodah Zarah. So what's the shaila? Of course, you're not allowed to sit underneath it. Simple. I'll show you how this works. Mamish Gevaldik. Here's a tree. If you notice, the tree has a shade going into the street. You see the shade right over here? Okay. How tall is this tree? Let's say it's 20 feet tall. So says Rashi, if a tree is 20 feet tall, then it creates a shadow that's 20 feet long, a strong shadow of 20 feet long. Halachically, its shadow is 20 feet long. But the fact is that the shadow is much longer than 20 feet, especially when the sun is on the horizon it's sunset or sunrise, then the shadow is going to be much longer. So that longer part, which is the green part, which is longer than the height of the tree, is called sel tzila. That part has less tuma to it, less issues. At the end of the day, there's no difference. All shadows are no good. Great. So says the Gemara, we're talking about the extended shadow that's above and beyond. Again, if the tree is 10 feet tall, so the shadow that we're concerned about is a 10-foot shadow. Anything above 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, that's a tzel tzila. The original one is called tzel kemoisa. Says the Gemara, B'chlal, the tzel kemoisa, in the original shadow, miyoshav tameh. If you sat in that, you become completely tameh. La, you don't become completely tameh. Even if you sat in the first 10 feet of this shadow, in the purple part of it, you are not tameh. You're tar. So what's the chiddush? Nevertheless, you should be makbid not to even sit in the Avodah Zarah's shadow, even in the green part. And some say it goes on the end part. If you said you are tar, pshita, you didn't sit underneath the tree. Why should you become tamei? I'm saying even a chiddush, even in the purple part, if you sat in that, you are tar. Oh, so in the green part, you're allowed to sit down and then take it easy over there? Lie. You shouldn't sit in any part. The big chiddush is that in the purple part, you're tar, but you shouldn't even sit in the green part. You shouldn't walk underneath an Avodah Zarah tree. And if you do, you're tamei. My taima. What's the reason? So I explained the whole thing. Because there's a little bit of Avodah Zarah going on. I'll give you an example. In India, they have this place called the Golden Temple, and there's other temples in India and around the world where people throw coins into the fountain, right? You know how much money goes in there a year? Tens of millions of dollars. People throw golden chains, crazy stuff. All that. You're a Jewish guy, you're there at night, put on some scuba diving gear. You're not allowed to use it. Why? You can't have any benefit from it. It's the kroivus Avodah Zarah. The stuff is going directly from Avodah Zarah. Unless a guy, how can you use it? If the guy is mevatel it. But you're not going to find the Hindu that's going to be mevatel it, so forget it. Not a good idea. Mani Rabbi Meseira. Rabbi Meseira, the sign Rabbi Meseira Omer. Menayli kroivus Avodah Zarah shem tam boil. How do you know that the kroivus Avodah Zarah creates the oil tuma? It's like sacrificing to the dead. Just like to the dead, you can't have any benefit, right? Stam halacha. When you go to the Beis HaKvaros, you shouldn't be leaning on the matzeva. You shouldn't be putting your siddur on the matzeva. You're not allowed to have benefit from a dead person. Zero benefit. So you don't give anything to the dead. If you take a carbon, give it to the dead, it becomes aser. After kroivus Avodah Zarah matam boil. And that's why we have this halacha that Avodah Zarah creates tumas oil. It's not a pasuk. It is. The Gemara brings a pasuk. It's an asmachta. It's not a real doiraisa halacha. It's a hint from the Torah. If the tree is stealing from the public and you walk underneath it, what's going on here? It's a big difference. Are you allowed to go lechatchila in the first place underneath it, or if you went underneath it, then it's okay. We're not going to do anything to you. You're not tamei. Ben Elazar Mishmei Dechizkiyahu Amar Oiver. You're allowed to go lechatchila. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Im Avar. If you walk there, you didn't realize that it's Avodah Zarah tree, then you're tar. V'loi pligi. No machlokes. Ha dikadircha achrina. Ha delekadircha achrina. So this is a famous concept. If there's no other way to go, if you have no other way to go, then you go below the tree and you're not tamei. For instance, we have the same halacha when it comes to inappropriate sites. Let's say you want to go to the beach, but you're going to go to the beach, you're going to see things you shouldn't be seeing. So what do? It's a big problem because even if you close your eyes and you're careful, you're not allowed to do it. But if you really need to go, so they say. So Taisus says over here that what's dark achrina? Dark achrina means that if they're the same exact distance, but if one is a shorter distance, that's considered you don't have another option. I'm not mechuyev to go another 5 minutes out of my way. So some want to use that heter for going to the beach and things like that. Ask your local rub. I'm not getting into it. I'm just throwing out the idea, the concept. Concept is there where sometimes you shouldn't be going certain places, but if that's the only way to do it, and you have to go, and it's good for your health, then it's considered leka dar kachrina. So says Gemara, story. Omer Rav Sheshes l'shamei. Rav Sheshes told his right-hand man. Rav Sheshes was blind, right? Later on in his life, he became blind. So I guess he couldn't see here. Kimadas la'asam. When you get to that, but the Zarah tree, aritani. We got to rush. We got to run through it. Says Gemara, whoa, what's going on here? Hey chidami, eat like a dirkachrina. If there's no other way, lomeli aritani. Why does he have to rush? Walk nice and slow. You have no other way to get there. You're allowed to go through the tree. Mishra Shari. And if there's another way to go, Mishari. If there's another way, so what does running help? There's another way. Go the other way. There's no other way. Since we're talking about Rav Sheshes, he should walk quicker because it's not appropriate for him. I'll tell you a story. Shimshon Pincus, famous Shimshon Pincus, he's once giving a shir somewhere. Mamish like me now, tonight, right? Starving right now. He was hungry, really hungry. The whole day he didn't eat. He's at a yeshiva giving a shir. So he decided, you know what? Let me see what he sees. There's a falafel store. So he goes into the falafel store. He says, "Could I have a pita with some salad? No falafel." Okay. And all of a sudden he hears two yeshiva guys saying, "Wow, look at that guy. He has a frock and a hat, and he's eating falafel in a falafel store." It's a pasnish, they say. You know, it's a pasnish. My chavrusa, my Rebbe, Rabbi Didi Kramer, he flies around the neighborhood on a scooter. So people come there and say, "What do you do? Like, you're Rosh Kollel. You're the Rosh Kollel, the MDY Rosh Kollel." He goes around with a yellow helmet sometimes on a scooter. Certain things are pasnish. He doesn't care. Pasnish. So it's gonna hurt your shidduchim. But Rav Sheshes was allowed to go there. But as a Adam Chashuv, he should go a little quicker. Says the Mishnah. You could plant vegetables underneath the Avodah Zarah tree in the winter. Why? Because in the winter, you need the heat, you need the sun. And the tree actually harms the vegetables. It causes shade, and shade is not good for the vegetables. Not in the summer, because the shade is good for the vegetables in the summer. And a bunch of pigs. No, chazerim over here means lettuce. I didn't think for a second it meant that. I wanted to see if you're paying attention. You have pig lettuce. I love the word. Anyway, the lettuce you should not plant under this Avodah Zarah tree. It doesn't matter if it's the winter or the summer. Lettuce is very sensitive. It needs shade. You shouldn't even plant vegetables during the winter. Why? Because when the leaves fall, the leaves are going to cause fertilization. Check this out. Beautiful stuff we have here. Here. See, the leaves cause the vegetables to grow. Okay? So, says the Gemara, we just had it yesterday. This concept, Zeh v'zeh gorim. Yeah? I guess if you're going to take one halacha away, maybe you can take this halacha. There's a lot of halachas today, even more interesting than this one, but this is at the end. What does Zeh v'zeh gorim mean? So we had the female cow, let's say, somebody worshipped her as Avodah Zarah, and she had a baby. Now, the baby is 50% her, 50% the male. So, but it's Zeh v'zeh gorim. Now, the baby was created from 50% Isser, the female, 50% Heter, the male. What's the halacha? Is the baby kosher or not kosher? Can you bring as a carbon? Not. Same idea over here. Over here you have the dirt, the ground is kosher, but the leaves falling off the tree are Avodah Zarah leaves, and they cause it to fertilize, and the combination creates a vegetable. So 50% Aser, 50% Mutter. Over here you see, the Rebbe Yossi Sova Zeh v'zeh gorim Aser. Over here, you see Rabbi says, don't plant it underneath the tree because you're going to have leaves. But wait a minute, that's only 50%. 50% is mutter. You see that he holds Zev Zeh Gorim, Asur. Rabban Nami, Zev Zeh Gorim mutter. Rabban argue with him. They say, you could plant it underneath the tree. Says Gemara, we had this a few times. It's not Rabbi Yossi Omer. If a person finds Avodah Zarah, what do you do with it? If a person finds Avodah Zarah, you grind it up into small pieces and you throw it into the wind. You remember what Chacham told him? It's a problem because it's going to fertilize somebody's field. But wait a minute, fertilization is only 50%. The other 50% is kosher because it's a field. So Chachamim are the ones that hold Zev Zeh Goyrem Asur. So the sheet is exactly opposite. So check it out. Very, very simple. But we have a nice chart here. Our Mishnah says you're not allowed to plant. Rabbi Yossi says you're not allowed to plant vegetables under a tree. L'chayri holds Zev Zeh Goyrem Asur. The problem is underneath the same Rabbi Yossi, on the right side on the bottom, it says you could take little pieces of this getchka and throw it into the wind. It's going to fertilize. Zev Zeh Goyrem Mutter. So it's a contradiction. Let's talk about Chachamim. Top left corner. Chachamim say in our Mishnah, you're allowed to plant vegetables underneath of a Zarah tree. What about the leaves that fall down and fertilize it? Zev Zeh Goyrem, it's mutter. But over there, in that case, with Avodah Zarah throwing it into the wind, they hold it asur. So what do they say? Zev Zeh Goyrem asur. What's the best way to get out of such a dilemma? Eipuch. So how does Eipuch work by us? Boom. If you flip it around, now everything lines up. It's green to green, red to red, beautiful. Before we get there, that's what the Gemara is going to say at one point. We just have to do another 5 lines or so. So, Kashi the Rabbanon, yeah, that's where we're holding. What do you mean you're going to throw it into the wind? It's going to become fertilization, and it's also, it says you're not allowed to use any of that Avodah Zarah, even 1%. Kashi the Rabbanon, Kashi the Rabbi Yossi, the Rabbi Yossi. As you see over here, we have a contradiction between Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yossi. One is red, one is green. You don't have to know what it says, you just have to know the colors are the opposite. And when it comes to Rabbanon, the colors are the opposite. Great. Mishnah the Rabbi Yossi, the Rabbi Yossi, like Kashya. I can answer Rabbi Yossi and the Rabbi Yossi, also the cause of the Ibud Matir. The bottom one that says that you're allowed to take the Avodah Zarah, grind it up to small pieces, throw it into the wind, and it's going to cause fertilization. I don't care. You know why? Because I'm getting rid of Avodah Zarah. So he says it's mutter. But over here, in the case of our Mishnah, the vegetables, you're planting vegetables, it's not going anywhere. Asur. That's why he says it's asur. So I understand why over here it's asur, over there it's mutter. Elo the Rabbanon, the Rabbanon Kasha. But you don't have a good answer for Rabbanon. Therefore, says the Gemara, Eipuch. Now it's all lined up. If we switch our Mishnah, the Shittas around in our Mishnah, it adds up that Rabbi Yossi holds through and through Zev Zeh Goyrem mutter, and Chacham holds Zev Zeh Goyrem asur. Okay, let's go back. The Rabbi Yossi, the Rabbi Yossi, we already answered that Rabbi Yossi is not a contradiction because where he's getting rid of the Avodah Zarah completely, that's okay, it's mutter. Where he's not getting rid of the Avodah Zarah, it's asur. Now, the Rabbanon Kedomer of Mori Bereder of Kana. We had a kasha on Rabbanon. So I'll just say about Peh, and then we'll see it inside. Very, very simple idea. The idea is sometimes things cancel each other out. And that would be the idea by us that what? You have the leaves that fall down and they fertilize. That's a problem. It's Avodah Zarah. And then you have the ground that has, helps the vegetables grow. They each give 50%. It's as if you have nothing. One cancels out the other. The Gemara says you see the same concept by Psula Mugdashim. That is, let's say you have an animal that was supposed to be a carbon, but it got a mum, so you can't bring it onto the mizbeach. So what do? You redeem it. Somebody redeems it, takes it home. You have to be careful. Even though you take it home, it's yours. You have to treat it with respect. It has a little bit of dusha left to it. So, if let's say the guy wants to use the hide, so the trick is, if you want to use the hide and make sure the hide is in perfect condition, you start flaying him, whatever the word is, from the legs down, not from the head. If you start from the legs, I'm not a pro flayer, but if you do it like that, you'll get a nice piece of hide. But that means that you're going to have to use a knife and cut into the meat a little bit, a few nicks here and there. You're going to damage the meat. Says the Gemara, don't do it. Why? Because it's still a little bit kaddish. You shouldn't be damaging a behemoth that has kedusha to it with the knife. But says the Gemara, but wait a minute. So what? But it's more beneficial for the Beis Hamikdash to have a nice piece of hide, and then I could sell it. Says the Gemara, yeah, but it cancels it. What are you going to get? You're going to get another $20 for this piece of hide? You're going to lose $20 on the meat that you nicked it. So it adds up. It cancels each other out. Great. And Mela, I'm going to say the same idea by us. They cancel each other out. And that's why Chacham by us say that you're allowed to plant vegetables under a tree. Because even though it has a little bit of a Avodah Zarah fertilization, it's fine because it gets canceled out by the dirt. Says the Gemara like this. The benefit that Beis Hamikdash gets from selling the hide without any flaws, it's gonna get canceled out by the loss that you have on the meat that you kept on nicking it with your knife. Fakert, not the dirt. Made a mistake. Scratch that. The little bit of benefit that you get from the leaves that are fertilizing the vegetables, you're losing by the shade of the Avodah Zarah tree. So the Avodah Zarah gives a benefit, but also gives a loss. And those cancel each other out. That's why you're allowed to plant vegetables under an Avodah Zarah tree. According to Chacham, Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for coming. Yeshur Koyach, I really appreciate it.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.